So here we have the 9th Conquest delivery, I think. Let's get this open and have a look at what is inside. So we have a sprue from Dark Imperium containing some of the characters. We have a brown pipe sprue with a bunch of pipes. We have the Primaris Apothecary, and we have, what colours have we got? We've got Celestra Grey, Death Guard Green, and another paintbrush. I'm going to take a look at the magazines, and I am going to come back in a second and go through the magazines and the value of what we've got. This is the contents laid out. You've got a sprue from Dark Imperium with the Noxious Blightbringer, Putrid something or other, and the Plague Champion with Power Fist and Plague Sword. You've got a Primaris Apothecary, who is the most complicated model so far in Conquest. There's multiple choices of parts, and some of them are very small and very delicate. So it's a model that, for beginners, they might benefit from using tweezers. It's certainly something that, looking at the instructions, maybe could use slightly better instructions than it has. So this sprue's twisted slightly, either coming out of the mould or in the packaging being shipped, but everything appears complete. So it's not like the Librarian, where I got 2 tops and no legs. So I'll put these to one side. This also has a bolter, which is not part of any of these models. So if you're new to this, this part here goes with something on another sprue. Do not get yourself confused about it. There will be something left over when you've put all of this together. So the Apothecary is 2250. You've got half the pipe set. Let's see if it's got the name of the pipe set on it. No, it's just got the 2017 date on. That's 2250. That retails 2 of these sprues for 2250. So that's 3325. This sprue from Dark Imperium is 2 characters and a champion for the Plague Marine unit. Is going to be worth at least £5, £6, £10. 2 paints and another layer brush. So certainly you're getting at least 40 quid's worth of stuff in this set. So you can't really complain, unless you've already got Dark Imperium and you've got these already, about the miniatures. You've got new terrain that you haven't had before. You've got a new Primaris character who is a really nice model. For the Plague Marines, you've got 2 more characters and a unit champion for your Plague Marine unit. So that does add quite a lot to what you've got so far. You also get an entirely new colour, Celestra Grey, which is used for things like all the smoke on the Plague Marines, the lights on the vehicles, stuff like that. So let's have a look at the magazines. You've got 4 magazines here, more background stuff on Guilliman, Dark Angels, the Demon Plague forces. It tells you how to go over all the stuff you've already got and add Celestra Grey, and to do some more detailing. So going over the Blight Hauler, going over the Tainted Cohort to add more detail to it, particularly on the horns and things like that, so that you end up with models that look like this. So I think at this point, 9 deliveries in, it's probably time to start talking about more advanced painting techniques. With the Celestra Grey and the Rakarth Flesh, you can experiment with mixing them a little bit and do some feathering, do some line highlighting. You can certainly do more than they've done with the painting so far. Looking at it, you can go back changed some of the details on it with the poxwalkers. They don't need to have all blue clothes. You can give them some tan clothes with Rakarth flesh and a wash. You can give them some red clothing. And you get a scenario where you pit your new captain level characters, so Felthius from the Tainted Cohort and the Ultramarine captain in Gravis armour against each other. So looking at this, you're using 4 units of infantry. You've got the Aggressors versus the Blight Hauler. Those are both the heavy units. You've got 2 Ultramarine characters and 1 Plague character. So this is an objective holding mission, and the objectives get counted at the end of the game. They do start playing around in these scenarios, and they've switched to 1 per issue with this delivery, with doing more objective based missions. So I'll show you what I mean by the apothecary instructions. So I think, yeah, they do at least point out that it is a complex kit. The parts are very delicate, you need to remove them really carefully from the sprue. What I might do is I might show you how to build this and do something called sub-assemblies, where you assemble parts to stick on later. So for instance, I really think this kit would benefit from not putting the backpack on before you paint it. It also asks you to base coat this Celestra Grey. At this point you should be using a white primer on this model, as it's largely white. You can then, on all the pieces that are going to be something that isn't white, use a thin shade wash to pick out all the detail to help you paint it. Going through it, they give you page after page on how to put this together, but you still end up with grey armour. White is a hard colour to paint. Certainly they are showing you how to do some of the detailing in the parchment, but white's a hard colour to paint, and you don't have white yet as a paint in Conquest. They've not given it to you. So Celestra Grey, painted on probably a couple of layers to get good coverage, a couple of reasonably thin layers to get good coverage, will give you a colour like this, which is an off-white, which at this point is close enough. They give you a scenario, you've got to place objectives and collect them. These objectives represent fallen Marines. You've got the Biologist Putrefier and Primaris Apothecary, both trying to collect gene seed. You move into contact with a marker, and you can collect it for 3 victory points. There's 5 markers. If you hold a marker at the end of the game by having more models next to it, you get 2, but you can collect them for 3. It also introduces the Primaris Apothecary and the ability to recover wounds on a unit or return slain models to the field. So that adds quite a lot to the game. This one is the pipes. Pipes are really simple to put together. They're also really simple to paint. It's 2 base coats, Lead Belcher and Liberator Gold, and then the respective shades. So again, I'd have gone further in the painting guide with this. You've got Macragge Blue, you've got Celestra Grey. You could do the plasma vents with a little bit of essentially paint it blue, and then all the stick out bits like this Celestra Grey highlight, or a dry brush, or something that gives you that sort of 3-dimensional effect. You've got the rules for barricades and the rules for plasma conduits, so hazardous cover, and it gives you a walkthrough of it. And then you've got a scenario. Again, this is actually a reasonable sized battle with 5 units a side, including 1 character on each side, but it is about holding the conduits. So you've got 4 objectives. though there's only 3 objectives on the map. That is strange. Because it does refer to 4 objectives when there's only 3. That is weird. Unless you can see an objective here that I can't. You've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is weird. And then this issue adds more Plague Marines. So you've got 2 more Death Guard characters and the Plague Marine Champion. It gives you the full psychic rules. It shows you how to do Deny the Witch, because you've got a scenario in here where you've got a psyker on each side, so they can try and deny each other's smite powers. But it also gives you the full profile for the Malignant Plague Caster, including Miasma of Pestilence and Putrescent Vitality, and they can do 2 psychic powers a turn, which is a real bonus to them if they put things like Putrescent Vitality on a Death Guard infantry unit. So it gives you a fairly small skirmish. You've got 5 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers and the 2 characters in this, versus 5 Intercessors, 2 Hellblasters, Primaris Librarian and 3 Aggressors. So you've got the chaff, but you've got some smites you can throw around to deal with the Librarian and the Aggressors. You've got 5 Plague Marines, and that gives you a reasonable number of Plague Marines to try and murder your opponent. So, verdict. This delivery was definitely worth it. You've got a good range of extra stuff added to both sides. You've got all the psychic rules in play. It adds a new type of cover. It does some interesting things. Where I feel that Conquest is failing is it's not pushing the painting hard enough. There are more techniques that they could show in the magazines and they're not doing it. If somebody's been doing it, this is the 9th delivery, they've been doing it for almost a year at this point, then you want to push their painting a little bit. This is still very much beginner level painting. You're not telling them to prime, you're not telling them to thin their paints, you're not pointing them at Warhammer Community to do the painting videos there. That's where I feel it's falling down, though this delivery definitely is good value and has some really nice stuff in it. So that's been my review of Conquest 9th delivery. If you've got an opinion, leave a comment below. If you've liked this video, hit like and subscribe. Otherwise guys, good gaming!